So it begins.
Files accessed. Transfer of data complete. Commencing.
Ladies, gentlemen, and invited transgendered species, we are the Red Shirt Geeks.
Red Shirt Geeks!
Shoot the proton torpedoes like make us go that way.
Red Shirt Geeks!
Very bad feeling about.
Shut up, Wesley!
Red Shirt Geeks!
Hello, my name is Indigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
Red Shirt Geeks!
Hide behind the mound. Dead Barnes.
Make it so.
Red Shirt Geeks!
I'm your host, Lars Di, the pseudo-Kiwi, and with me in this episode is a man who needs no introduction. Wait, he does? Oh yeah. Joining me this episode is the amazingly talented and so far extremely funny Manu Intiraymi.
Holy moly, you said my name right. You guys rock. This is professional. I'm on a professional show, Mom!
Well, hey, so if I can get Vic Mignogna's name right, then I think I can get your name right.
That's pretty true. It's Mignogna, huh?
Yeah.
Mignogna?
Yeah, it was...
Mignagni?
I'm sure I probably butchered it more times than I care to count. But hey, welcome to the show, Manu. Thank you so much for coming and talking to us today. We're glad to have you on the show. So
I just call him Christian Kirk.
Christian Kirk. I hadn't even thought of that. You're right. Yeah. He really is kind of leaning that way. See, I knew this was going to be fun right before we started.
I like Vic quite a bit. No, it's great. It's great to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
No, that's great. And so, you are, of course, part of the Star Trek family. I mean, the greater Star Trek family you had. You've had quite a career. We won't bore everybody with your arm-length list of credits, but certainly you've done a fair amount of TV, and you, of course, were on Star Trek Voyager, and then carried the character over into the Star Trek Renegades short that came out. And now you're on to another project, which we'll talk about here shortly, called The Circuit. So,
I also was Billy from One Tree Hill, the season 9 One Tree Hill. But there's not a huge crossover audience with the Trekkers and the One Tree Hill fans.
That's kind of a shame, though, really. I mean, you would think that they would be bigger.
Not a gigantic crossover there.
No.
Yeah, you would think. No. But, yeah, those are the things I get recognized for the most. So we could just start there and end there.
Yeah, well, I love, and obviously, I out of the group of the Red Shirt Geeks, I am the Star Trek nerd. I'm a little bit of a purist, I'm not going to lie. I love watching the Prime series and such like that. So, of course, you automatically fall into that since you were in Voyager, despite, I don't know how that, I mean, seriously, how did that series end? I mean, come on.
Yeah, but, the episode wasn't that bad. The writing was, I liked the time travel thing, but yeah, it was a little hokey.
Yeah, we call that the big magic reboot button, but, despite that fact, I mean, you are part of a legacy that is now 50 years old. When you were when you were a part of that series, what was it like to step onto a set every day knowing that you were weaving more of that tapestry?
I was 21 when I got that part, so I was a little full of myself. I wasn't aware at the time. I mean, I was aware that I was doing good work, and I don't want to, kick my own butt too much because I was conscious, and I was certainly happy to be there. And I knew that the work that we were doing was counting. I even remember getting a couple of those screenplays that were really set a powerful message for the Icheb character, and calling my mom and actually breaking into tears, saying, "I think this work counts. I think this is going to affect people." But, it was awesome. It was 2 years on a spaceship. Going to work on a spaceship with a hot 7 of 9 perfect woman that was hilarious and beautiful, and the cast was welcoming and warming. There was nothing I could possibly complain about. What was it like knowing that I was carrying the torch? That's the thing. I didn't really know that I was carrying the torch. It sort of dawned on me after 15 years on the convention circuit, somewhere in that time period, that what I was saying was important, what we were doing was important, that Star Trek had been important, that this was an amazing series that has affected the world in a lot of ways. But it wasn't somewhere till mid-conventioning that it started to dawn on me that, you know what I think it was? I talked to Leonard Nimoy a few times early on. And I used to go to conventions, and I used to just sort of kind of be a jackass. And I would go out on stage and just say things, offensive things for the heck of it. And just I sort of didn't appreciate the position that I'd been given. And I chatted with him a few times, and he was telling me about, if you're going to talk and people are going to listen to you for an hour, maybe you should, not be such a jackass. And he's right. You leave a wake, and I don't know. I grew up. It's a long answer because I grew up in Star Trek, and I sort of became a man because of this show, and became a better person because of this show. Playing Icheb, he was for me. It was tough at 21 because the character was so good and so full of integrity and so full of loyalty and character that then I had to go out on the convention circuit and live up to that hope or that thing in people's minds. And really, it was learning to be a better person through Star Trek and through all the love that the convention family and sci-fi family has given me, and not only the fans but the actors. That's part of the coolest thing that you start to realize that you've carried a torch is when you meet all the cast from the other shows. Just a few weekends ago, I was sitting on stage, and who would have known back when I was doing Voyager that someday I would be sitting on stage, and to my right would be Nichelle Nichols, who's a woman that I can just get lost in her eyes. You can just sit there and be wowed by her aura, let alone anything she says. She's just stunning. What a person. What a shining example of a good human being. And then on my left was Walter Koenig, who's the exact opposite, just a total curmudgeon-y, terrible. I'm just kidding. He's also just a wonderful human being, and in his own way, but in that fun, like honest. I love Walter. He's hilarious. And then Rod Roddenberry was on my right, and it was the 50th anniversary of this thing. And this crowd that had traveled from all over the world was giving us all this love. And the host of the panel was asking these wonderful questions. And the son of the great bird himself was asking us these wonderful questions. And Riker was there. Jonathan Frakes was there too. So it was just this eclectic mix of everything Star Trek. And we sat there for an hour and talked about what it all meant to all of us, and including everybody else in the room. At the time, I just was trying to do good acting work. Now I realize that everything I say from this point out matters because I was a part of a show that has struck such a deep chord with such a huge part of society worldwide. So I take that into account every day.
Yeah, it's amazing that you have worked. You mentioned that you've worked with a lot of great actors, a lot of great people, especially not just from Voyager, but also from you've had a chance to talk to members of the other cast from the other series and such. One thing that I like to ask people is, what was it like? Kind of when you step out, when you go to these conventions and you see the throngs of fans who immediately recognize you as your character, what's it like for people to make that connection? Is it, I mean, you mentioned initially, you said that in the early days when you were conventioning, you were a bit of a jackass. Well, we're all jackasses in our own right, but at the same time, did you kind of get that sensation right away from the fans that they knew who you were? They weren't just looking like, hey, it's just some guy with with an eyepiece, or it's a little bit of face makeup. This is a real character from a series that we love to watch.
Yeah, when I was on the convention scene?
Yeah.
Well, I never had the makeup on the convention scene. I haven't done that. But what do you mean? Did I get a sense that they were knew me deeper than the character, or what do you mean?
Yeah, like when they looked at you as Manu, they didn't just see a guy who was just showing up for a convention appearance. Did you get the sensation that they really identified with the character and were able to transfer that kind of in their dealings with you personally?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people want you to live up to that. I mean, it happens to me even to this day. I remember I worked with Kate Mulgrew for 2 years, but I didn't know that she was a human being until just recently. She was such a presence on that set that, and then she played Captain Mo, and I saw the show so many times that you start to think of her as Captain. You start to think of her as that person. And I was watching the documentary recently. I think it's called Captains or something like that. And she was talking about the sacrifices that she made to do the show, and that she didn't take care of her kids necessarily as she could have, as well as she could have, and she regretted that. And the different things you give up when you work that hard on a show. And I think to a certain extent, yeah, I had to deal with some people that judged me because I didn't live up to that they wanted to meet that young boy from the ship, even if it's just part of their subconscious and not their consciousness. And in the same way with me, I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be a better man. I wanted to be a better person. And I was getting all this love from the fan base. And at 22, I didn't understand it. I was like, why are these people giving me so much love? All I did was a little space show. And so I gave myself a real hard time about it. But when you grow up and you realize, wow, things do count. Things are magic. Things are beautiful. I think there's a little bit of both. I think the Star Trek fan base has certainly been forgiving of me, and I've met people now at 38 at a convention 10 years later that were like, I remember you when you were 22 years old, and I knew you were a good guy. It was just going to take some time, and you were a terror, but I could see that you had a heart. You were going to be all right. And, and then these people are like, 55-year-old people in Germany and around, and they've always seen the human being in me and always treated me with nothing but kindness, except for the rare 1%ers, it's been a gift. It really has been a gift and a reminder to stay cool, man, and stay real and be the best self that you can be. Not, F it. Everything is cliche, so you got to live it. And I'm proud to say that I was a part of that franchise. I'm proud of everything I did on it. And it was a damn good performance, by the way. If you go back and you watch Voyager, I'm really good. I mean, I'm really good in that show. I'm phenomenally good. And in fact, I watch it lately, and I see some recent work that I did, and I'm like, wow, you were really good when you were a kid. What happened to you? I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. I was wonderful in that episode. I mean, it forced you to be. That show was all of the shows, but that show, since I was on it, I can speak of. The actors were so good, the writing was good, everything, it forced you to give your best work, and nobody let anybody slip up when it came to trying to cheat your way out of a scene or not memorize your lines.
Oh, fair enough. And so, in that vein, with playing Icheb, what was it like to come back years later and play him again when you were doing the Tim Russ helmed production of Star Trek Renegades?
It was neat just to put that skin on again 15 years later. It was a thrill, especially the second time around with the not Star Trek Renegades. It was great because it was, that script was a really powerful. I think people are really going to like the second episode. And I think they're going to like it a lot better than the first. I like the first one. I'm not saying that, but it's better. That producer, Sky Conway, has sort of streamlined his technique from Gods of Men to Star Trek Renegades to Renegades. And when I did it, it was in the middle of all the hullabaloo with that still sort of exists. It still does exist with the Star Trek fan films. And I had to question whether I wanted to do it just because I was worried about the negative repercussions that could happen. But I decided in the end, what was I going to do? Pass up working with Terry Farrell and Robert Beltran and working on Walter's calling card to not Chekhov, but Admiral. It's a great story for Walter. It's centered around Walter's character, and I wanted to be a part of that. And it was great. It's great fun to do it. The character is so different. Also, he's not at all the guy that you saw on Voyager, so it was kind of fun to see a different take on him as well.
Well, it's obviously something you have a lot of passion for, and it's something you were able to have a lot of fun with. I mean, I'm sure there probably isn't a Star Trek fan who hasn't seen the Star Trek Renegades and isn't waiting for Renegades, the series, to come out. So you talked about the whole deal with the problems with the fan films and everything causing an issue with productions and such, and forcing everybody to kind of rethink their positions. That kind of leads into a little bit of having to do something different or find a different project. And it looks like you really kind of come up with something unique. You guys have been working on this new project called The Circuit. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about that? You said to us before we started that you could talk forever.
Yeah.
Let's talk about The Circuit. Tell our fans what this is about.
The Circuit is exciting. I sat down a couple years ago with Walter Koenig and got started on this project, but it's been a 15-year dream that's sort of percolated and changed throughout my head. And it's, I wanted to make, and Walter wanted to make, and some of the early people involved with the project wanted to do. We've been supported by, we talked about it earlier, but we've been supported by the fans on the convention circuit for so long with our art and the different things that we've done in film and television that they're always there for us. And we wanted to make a movie that celebrated the convention scene, the 50 years of the convention circuit. I don't know if people know it or not, but 1966 was really the first time that a lot of people give credit to the first science fiction convention that involved media, involved television. There were conventions before it, but they were mostly literary. And so 50 years of doing this and of it evolving into this Comic-Con and this multi-genre thing that it's become. When I got off Voyager, it was mostly Star Trek specific conventions or science fiction conventions. And now it's blown up to this hugely wild thing, and I spent so many years on it that I got all these surreal stories of what happens behind the scenes at these things from actors, from fans, and so many surreal moments and stories that I gathered along the way. We knew that we wanted to do a film about the scene that celebrated the convention scene, but also celebrated the genres that we love. And involved the fans in some way and gave a payback to the fans. And so we figured upon this concept. I'm a big fan of anthology television, the Steven Spielberg's amazing stories I grew up with, or Tales from the Crypt, or the Twilight Zone I've been a fan of in its couple incarnations in the film. And so The Circuit is basically 10 stories, 10 genres, 10 directors that all happen in one fictional location. And that location is a giant mega 50-year mega Comic-Con-apopolis of Palooza, Shireville, Star Wars, whatever. It's just, like a giant, like bigger than San Diego Comic-Con, mega-con. And these 10 stories are going to happen there. And they're going to be 10 of different genres, and mostly focused in on the genres we love: fantasy, sci-fi, horror, comic book, comedy, time travel. And the circuit, we want it to be the new Amazing Stories, except it's focused around this place. And then to involve the fans, we figured every time I go to a convention, somebody shows me some CGI that they've been working on, or something they've been shooting, or a script that they've been working on, or they're into makeup, or some cosplayers are into some kick-ass outfits. And I've seen, and a lot of us have seen, all the talent out there in the convention world that they want to become a part of the film world, and they don't know how. And so I thought, why not, if we're going to do a crowdfunder, especially, why not, if we're going to fund a movie, why not make your movie? So half of the screenplays are written by us. They're finished. Half of the screenplays we started at thecircuitfilm.com with a fan. Until November 23rd, you can still submit your screenplay, 1 to 20 pages. You pick the genre. You can write for our actors, or you can write from the fans' perspective. And we're going to make this anthology film together. As soon as the other way that the fans can get involved, we don't just want the writers, but if you pledge $5 to the $10,000, it doesn't matter. Whatever you pledge immediately, and Kickstarter wouldn't let us say this, and this is part of the most difficult part of getting people excited about this project, is they consider it a contest or a raffle, and that's not what it is. We want to involve as many fans as possible in this movie. So if you submit, immediately write thecircuitfilm.com, reach out to us, contact us at Facebook, at the Circuit Movie, or Twitter, or at thecircuitfilm.com, or you can contact me directly. I'm one of the executive producers on it, Manu Intiraymi at thecircuitfilm.com, and send us a letter or a video or whatever else you want to send us to tell us how and why you want to come to work on the movie. And for as many episodes as we fund, we'll bring in a couple people per key department of the film, and let people that have talent in, and we'll let people that want to learn about films in, and just whoever writes us the most interesting, fun, passionate stuff. We'll all make this movie together: fans, professionals, writers, directors, actors, and the public.
For our listeners out there, I am currently reaching into my wallet and pulling out my credit card. I know this is a project I'm going to get behind.
Well, it's awesome, man, and we have so many people signed on. We've got some producers and writers from all these crowdfunding hits, like For the Love of Spock, and a lot of people from Renegades, a lot of the cast from Renegades. We have people from Fifth Passenger, which was a film that was funded by the fan base to the tune of $100,000 that I co-produced last year, that we're going to be out early next year. But we also have producers, writers, and technicians, and directors from frickin' Iron Man, Disney's Planes, What Dreams May Come, Beowulf, Spider-Man 2, and all these fantastic actors from all over the genre spectrum. We wanted, if we were going to do a multi-genre movie, I wanted to get actors from all the genres. So we've got a lot of people from Star Trek, from all the different incarnations, from Walter to Tim Russ to Robert Beltran to Armin Shimmerman, Terry Farrell, Ethan Phillips, Hanahate, don't want to miss anybody, John Billingsley. But then we also have people from Game of Thrones, and Doug Jones from Hellboy, and who played Abe Sapien.
Love Doug Jones. He's
fantastic, and what a great guy. And then we have the younger stars of today, like Cody St. New from Teen Wolf, and Ryan Eggold's going to come on from The Blacklist, and is going to direct an episode for us. He's also on The Blacklist Redemption, and his career is blowing up. But we got Bob Picardo and J.G. Hertzler, basically Mindy Robinson, the Who's Robert Archer from Defiance, the big muscle-bound kick-ass guy from Lost Girl. And everybody's ready to just get to make 10 different genre films together we've got this wonderful little hook that goes through the whole thing that's a time travel story with a couple characters that hook all of the stories together. So if you're a writer and you submit the story to us, be aware that you're going to have to fit probably a page or two of the ultimate arc into your story when you get chosen. But it's not been hard to do so far. So I won't imagine it will be in the future either. But it's exciting. I mean, and we've got 25 days to do this. And if fans don't get behind this, I don't think the studio system is going to come to our rescue at this point, because it's a new idea and the studio people are scared of that stuff. It's got two strikes against it. One, it's a multi-genre anthology film. Never seen one of those. New idea. That's a no. That gets me a no right out the door when I try to pitch it to networks. But then to have the fans involved too, that scares people that are big funding machines that no, we want an all professional crew. I'm like, well, you sort of kick the whole Project Greenlight concept out of there, don't you? If you can't do that. So, and sorry to keep blabbing, but it's the reason we started making it in the beginning, was to pay tribute to the circuit and the fans and the whole scene. And when I say circuit, I mean the convention circuit.
Well, it sounds like you've definitely put a lot of effort into and a lot of time into developing the concept. It just sounds really interesting that you have this concept and this idea that people who aren't professional film crews can get involved, not just at the writing level, but also they can get involved financially, they can get involved writing, they can get involved production wise. It just sounds like a movie nerd's dream. I'm almost at a loss for words to as a comeback for what you've talked about, because as a filmmaker myself, I get really excited when I see new projects, and I can understand that there is going to be some resistance to the kind of project you have, but at the same time, that I like to live off the saying that fortune favors the bold.
Yeah, it's hugely ambitious. We understand that, but if you don't go after your dream, what the heck else are you doing? We've got. It was a chance to get together with the fan base, meet a bunch of cool people, and make 10 genres of film. 10, 12 minute, 15 minute, 8 to 20 pages is what we're asking for. So 8 to 20 minute episodes. And then to string them all together and to write it well enough that we don't end up making Kentucky Fried Movie, but we actually make something, that
I remember that movie.
Something that withstands the test of time. What do you do, man? You're a filmmaker. What's your score? What's your deal?
For me, I work primarily as director of photography. I like to see my eye down the lens.
Cool.
I often tell people, especially writers and directors, that the director is there to make the writer's vision come true. My job is to make the director's vision come true. So I'm very fortunate to have worked on a number of projects, and I actually got my filmmaking bug came when I lived in New Zealand, working on The Last Samurai.
Oh, cool.
And it's just a matter of, once I got that acting or the filmmaking bug bite, I just couldn't let it go. I mean, I tried different things. I tried all different manner of different careers, and I keep coming back to filmmaking. So we're really excited to see what comes together for this. And, like I said, got my wallet right here. I'm going to be back in this project for sure myself, just for the opportunity to see it be made. As we sort of wind down our show here, Manu, why don't you tell everybody what's the best way to get involved?
Yeah, well, also people have to understand that we have to fund it first, and if people don't pledge, it's not going to get made. And it has to be the fan base, and I think only the convention fan, the sci-fi family fan base, can get behind something like this and get the word out to fund it to the kind of tune that we want. And it's going to cost between $200,000 and $150,000 per episode. And I think for a lot of people that sounds like a big number, but when you do produce films for a living, you realize it's not. That goes really quick, especially if you're trying to make really high quality product. And we want to make a great show. We don't want to make a crappy one. We don't want to make a middle of the road show. We want to make something amazing. So first of all, pledge, and second of all, the easiest way to get involved is just go to the website www.thecircuitfilm.com. and write us at info@thecircuitfilm.com. It all ends up at me. So if you just want to write Manu Intiraymi at thecircuitfilm.com, that'll go directly to my inbox, and you can skip by some of the other folks we have working on it and filtering. I don't mind. My dream is to fund this thing, and then for the next month, I'm going to spend looking at all the people that have submitted to be a part of it, and really filtering all out and figuring out who's going to come on board, and then making all the announcements, and then getting to shooting this thing. So that's the way to get involved. Otherwise, if you're super rich out there and you just like making films, we're looking for producers. You can always buy the producer package and come on set for the whole thing. There's the big donor packages out there that for people that want a part in the film or want to name something in the film. Of course, we also have T-shirts and posters and coffee cups and lanyards and stickers and buttons and all that stuff. But mostly it's about pledging. Get some other fan or other friend of yours to pledge, and then make them promise that they're going to get a friend of theirs to pledge, and go get a friend of theirs to pledge, and we do this whole pay it forward thing, and maybe we'll all come and get to make a film together.
Well, it sounds really exciting, and we're looking forward to seeing it happen. That's just about all the time we have for this episode of the Red Shirt Geeks. Manu, I thank you very much for being our guest today, and we look forward to seeing more coming from you guys.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. You guys want to do another one of these sometime and talk something else, you just let me know. I'm around.
Oh, we will actually, as the circuit project ramps up and gets going, we will definitely be a supporter, and we will be behind you 100%.
Cool. You guys want to talk to anybody else too? Just give me a holler, and we'll maybe get some other cast on here.
I might take you up on that offer. I think we can make that happen.
And you guys normally do Star Trek stuff too, right? We could just talk Star Trek somewhere down the road too. I enjoyed this interview, so thanks, guys.
Wonderful. Thanks again, Manu. This has been the Red Shirt Geeks. Thanks very much for everybody listening. I'm Lars Di the Pseudo Kiwi. You know where to find us. Check us out. Peace out, folks.
Red Shirt